In today's podcast, I want to talk to you guys about something that's very important in anything you are doing in life, and that is going to be the compound effect. What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Pena, and in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be. For those of you that have been following from the beginning, I know that we have been gearing everything toward manifestation, self-development, and today this is going to go hand in hand, but it's also going to have a strategic approach that I feel most people, myself included, have benefited from. And if you can learn how to implement that, you will see how much change you will experience in your life. With that being said, I have 4 key components that I want to share with you in this compound effect journey, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts at the end. So if you have any feedback, please feel free to reach out to us. And of course, with that being said, let's dive deep. Now, the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is going to be to show up. Here's something that I feel like a lot of people don't really understand when it comes to the compound effect, and I want to give you the best way to understand it, because if you were raised in an environment where people were not just talking about investing in yourself and self-development and growth and your highest self and what is your clear goal, then a lot of this stuff can sound like gibberish, and I totally get how you feel. Now, the best way that I can describe showing up for yourself is going with that clear intention that you have set up for yourself. A lot of the times when it comes to a self-development journey, we often compare our success, we often compare where we are versus the success of others. But the reality is that we don't know what page in their book that person is. We don't know the behind the scenes. We don't know what that person had to go through in order for them to be where they're at. And even when you actually do like a deep dive, you will find out that that person has their own set of insecurities that they're going through. There's always going to be somebody that quote unquote is doing better than you. Somebody that quote unquote has more resources or more tools that you might find you still don't have. And I think that that's something that our society personally has made us focus on, and because of the fact that we sometimes have this perception, we get into a lack mentality. Now, the lack mentality is one of the most detrimental energies that you can be in, because that's when you start attracting more energies that are not the best for your end result. The best way I can explain that to you is when you give a comment something along the lines of, oh my gosh, like I just got out of this situation, I'm already in another situation. Like, oh my gosh, I just never get more opportunities. Everybody always leaves me. The list goes on, and I know that you have experienced something along those lines firsthand. Unless you're not a human, then that's a whole other conversation. But for most of us humans, we have experienced at one point or another feeling insecurity. We have experienced feeling like somebody else is doing better than us, feeling like even the work that we're doing is not getting a result. And this is why the compound effect is so important, because if you can learn how to truly show up for yourself, truly be in an energy where you understand that the small movements that you're doing every single day are allowing you to get that much closer to your end result, you will start to understand that the compound effect can work toward your goal or against your goal. So showing up for yourself goes hand in hand with understanding what serves you and what doesn't serve you. I find that a lot of the times, I'll use myself as an example, I tend to believe in people more than sometimes I believe in themselves. And I think that's a personal, hidden, rooted message within me, because I didn't have people that believed in me. Therefore, I believe that if you can just see the good in others, that will be enough to help them see the good in themselves. But the reality is that that's not your job. Your job is to continue to see the best in yourself and continue to show up as the best version for yourself. And the people that are meant to be in that energy are going to stay in that energy. The people that are not, it's not your battle to fight. They will discover something along the lines of their journey when the time is right. I'll give an example. A lot of the times I will find myself sugarcoating certain things on how I say them because I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings. And I have found that that's something very detrimental. And I actually was listening to an interview with Patrick Bet-David and Andrew Tate, and they were talking about how when you say things in a way that is very direct and overall just very polarizing, you can get a lot of negative backlash. But at the same time, the people that are willing to take the time to really understand where that message is coming from will understand the big picture. But the reality is that somebody can sit there and cut a snippet of one part of a documentary, twist it around to essentially shred this person apart based off one small snippet. And that is enough for nowadays society to unleash all this negative power within that person simply because of that one little part that they listened to that was geared around a hidden meaning that overall, if you didn't take the time to really understand, was going to cause you a problem. I say this because it kind of hit me in that moment where I was like, that's true. Even if I'm trying to share something, and again, this could be applicable for your life and stuff that maybe you're going through, so take this message as you will. But maybe you're in this situation where you're worried about how you're going to come across with your parents. You're worried about how you're going to come across with maybe your husband or significant other. Maybe you're worried about not pursuing your dream to the highest possibility because you're afraid you're going to fail. What you're doing in that moment is that you're not speaking your truth. And I think that this is what goes hand in hand with cutting your losses and understanding that not everybody is going to see things the way that you're going to see them, and that's okay. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but that does not mean that you should essentially mute yourself and sell your message just because you're afraid of how you're going to be perceived and how you're going to come across. And at the end of the day, when it comes to the compound effect, if you really think about it, is whether you're moving in alignment or you're moving against that end result that you have in mind. If you're not speaking your truth, you're going to attract the wrong people in your energy. And if you're not cutting your losses, meaning that you're not speaking your truth, therefore you're allowing people in your energy that are not supposed to be in that energy because you already perceive something from them, again, whether that be maybe you're believing in them more than they believe in themselves, that is something that now you are pushing yourself back from the end result. I've had situations where because I believe in people, I tend to keep them around because I don't want to necessarily be that person to just like completely cut them out of my life. I've had this problem with people that work for me, and I've realized that it's not healthy. It's not healthy because there's energies that you already feel from this person. It's like a relationship, right? If you're already feeling that your significant other is not showing up in the best light possible, why are you continuing to try and make it work? Again, if you've already tried to communicate with them, right? And you've already tried to have the whole, hey, I believe in you and we can do better conversation, but that person is still not really seeing it the way that you're trying to make them understand, it's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is only to yourself and to continue to show up as the best version of you in order for you to be in alignment with your goal. And that's going to lead to second point of today's podcast, and that's showing up every day, especially when you feel like quitting. If you're in alignment with that clear goal you have, you're speaking your truth, you're cutting losses in terms of the people that are not supposed to be there or the habits that are not supposed to be there, which are not really cutting any losses. You're actually making space energetically for things that are supposed to be there. And you're showing up every day, you are already moving the needle forward to that goal that is going to allow you to be in that highest vibration possible. And this is something that a lot of the times I personally know that it comes hand in hand with educating yourself, because it's one thing to go to the office as an example, right? I could sit here and be at the office and talk about something that really makes me excited, which is like energies and manifestations and self-development in general. But at the same time, if I'm just staying in this one energetic container and I'm not doing my part to learn from other amazing teachers that have been through a lot of these situations that maybe we can learn something from, then I'm staying in this one perspective. When in reality, there's maybe 20 other perspectives, 100 other perspectives that I can gain knowledge from. And this is why I say you can learn something from anybody. It doesn't matter whether it's the janitor, and it does not matter whether it's the CEO. It doesn't matter whether this person has more money than you or actually doesn't have more money than you. There's something you can learn, and educating yourself is going to allow you to really reap the reward of the compound effect. Now, number 3 is, this is something that I personally think took me a while to understand, because I believe that if I continue to show up every single day, no excuses, no breaks, I was gonna get to my destination a lot quicker. And I see that a lot of entrepreneurs or people that are looking to be in that space tend to do. Like, you have this goal, you have this like hidden, purpose within you that you're like, I don't quite know what it is, but I know that it's not, working at this, call center. I'm putting myself in that example because if you have not heard that before, in my first episodes I shared with you that that's where I used to work. And I feel like a lot of the times when we're in this like energy of just wanting to prove ourselves to ourselves, right, or to others, whatever, category you fall under, maybe both, but you don't take time to take care of you. And you believe that by just showing up every single day, that's going to be the energy that moves the needle. But you do need to take time for yourself. You need to take time to really create this self-care around you. What are you consuming? Not just from like actual food, but what are you consuming from like the media? Are you constantly surrounding yourself around a bunch of people that are just talking negatively about others? Are you constantly just watching, these shows that are talking negatively about other people? Or are you taking time to really create a self-care container that allows you to really understand who you are and what your purpose is? You see, if you are not doing this every single day, you are moving against what really makes you happy. And what ends up happening gradually as time passes by is that you settle. And then what happens is that you look at people that are actually trying to reach their goals, in the journey of reaching their goals, and you try and shred them to pieces because they're doing something that you didn't have the overall guts to do. But that's not their fault. It's your own. And if you can take accountability for that, and if you can take accountability for the fact that you're clear on your intention, you are showing up for yourself every day, you are taking your self-care seriously, being also who you're around, what you're consuming, then the compound effect is going to lead you to that result that you're seeking for. You can't expect things to change if you're not doing anything to change. You see, this is why, for me at least, in this past year alone, I've had a lot of realizations around who I want in my energy and why I want them in my energy and how I can be a better version of myself in order for me to be in other people's energy that also could benefit from me. And I think that this is something that you should take very seriously with yourself, because I have seen some people that honestly, it kind of like makes me very emotional to see something as in a small scale that have sent me like little screenshots of like them listening to the podcast. And I'm like, man, if I can share just anything that could actually relate with somebody that can help them start bringing a different perspective to their life, it has a ripple effect. Because I know that when I was Miss Negative Nancy, I was always the type of person that was trying to be that Debbie Downer, bringing everybody down. And I was the one that was like talking negatively about other people based off what I didn't have, based off, again, it's all a reflection. So if you are upset about something that is being said in this episode, or maybe that somebody else is saying, there's something deeply rooted within you that you need to just become aware of and work on. And it's okay. But if you don't become aware of it, you're going to stay in the exact same place that you were at last year and the year before. And that's why there's people that they're in their 40s and still living a life that they're not happy with. That's why there's people nowadays that are in their 20s, even, you know, some 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds that are creating legacies because they're speaking their truth, because they're being their authentic self, because they are making and paving the way to allowing themselves to really step into that highest version of themselves. You see, I'm 27 and I know that there's younger people than me that have gotten to a point that I'm like, wow, that's something that I admire. And just like I know that there's people that are older than me that look down and they're like, oh my gosh, how is she doing that at 27? Like, how is it that she is creating over X amount in this time frame? And how is it that this is growing for her? And they, instead of wanting to learn how to become better for themselves, you're now being that person that is envious of others. And the last thing I want to share with you, and that's number 4, it's you are the real you when nobody is watching. You can sit here and, you know, talk a big game about how you know energies, because I've seen a lot of people that they're like, yeah, I know what manifestations are. Yeah, it's about the, you know, the law of attraction, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you know, tell me more, because I'm genuinely interested, right? And they're like, yeah, well, you just have to, you know, like think about what you want to attract into your life, and that's going to allow it to come into your life. But then you see them talking negatively about other people, or you see them, you know, talking down on things of their life, and the list goes on and on and on. And you know what you're saying behind closed doors to yourself and maybe to others, but the real you is really when nobody else is watching. What are you telling yourself? If you are now at this point where you are aware that you are not your thoughts, you understand that your thoughts are simply created based off things that you have gone through. That's your paradigm. It's things that you went through in your life that have essentially controlled you and molded you to now what you are. It's a series of events that have almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. So if you understand that you're not your thoughts, you understand that whatever you're telling yourself in those moments that you feel frustrated, it's actually what's going to lead to that next breakthrough, or it's what's going to keep you in that exact same mindset. So whatever you're doing in life, just make sure you become very aware of that compound effect, because the compound effect can directly help you skyrocket to your next goal, or it can keep you exactly where you're at. And if where you're at is not a place where you feel happy, do something about it. Change your thoughts and change your reality, because it starts with that. No matter what self-help book you want to read, no matter what training you want to do, no matter any of that, if you're not changing your thoughts, you are never going to change. This is why I tell my students when it comes to like coachings that I've started to do, I mean, I did more of it with like the real estate stuff, but now that I've started Walking Manifestator Academy, I have put out like videos, right, where I'm like talking to people and sharing with them like the perspective of like, hey, do you believe you're your thoughts, or do you believe you are the consciousness above their thoughts? And then some people will be like, yeah, no, I know that I'm the consciousness, but then you start asking questions and then you find out that they're really still identifying with their thoughts. But by realizing that you see what you need to improve on, you are on your way to becoming that best version of yourself. So with that being said, I want to thank you again for joining us on yet another episode. Today I was actually a little emotional because I was listening to this interview and it was like Patrick Bet-David sharing how when he first started, like not a lot of people were watching his videos, and how when he started his agency in PHP, I actually used to work with PHP. They were essentially like 60 agents. Well, it was obviously short, like smaller than that, right? But they started growing, and then from there, it's grown to this like multi-billion-dollar company. And I think that's so inspiring, because when I think about these episodes, like where it's just like a few of you guys listening, I know in the bottom of my heart that this is going to continue to resonate with the people that it's meant to resonate with, and it excites me. And that's what I'm hoping that I can inspire and like spark up within you, that you find something that sparks you up at the end of the day. Something that makes you feel happy to wake up, and something that makes you feel like this is my purpose in life and this is what I want to do. So go and find it. Sending you much love, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching yet another episode of Walking Manifestator. And with that being said, I want to remind you, visualize, embody, and transcend. Be the walking manifestator you are born to be.